Hello and welcome to my reviews, rants and recommendations. I'm Schizofenik, and in this video I'll be looking at the novel Stalking Shadows, which is the prequel to the 2020 video game Hunting Grounds. The book is co-written by James A. Moore, who also wrote Hunters and Hunted, the prequel to The Predator, and Mark Morris, who also co-wrote the novelisation of The Predator. Therefore, this pairing is a highly accomplished and experienced literary duo, as their respective books were certainly the best things about the Predator movie. So when I bought this book, I certainly had high hopes. But did it live up to expectation? Well, in this review I will try to answer that question, but please be aware that although I will not give away the ending, the video does contain some spoilers. So, Stalking Shadows picks up during the closing events of Predator 2 and catches up to the current timeline in 2023, which sets the scene for the game. The book is written from the perspective of the main protagonist and young US Marine Scott Devlin, who has been newly recruited as part of a cleanup team guarding the crater left by the ship in Predator 2. On that very night, Scott is selected to investigate an alleyway and told to destroy the perpetrator of the explosion, who might still be there. As he enters with trepidation, he discovers, well, let's just say something the city hunter lost, and also bumps into Dutch Schaefer. From then on, we follow Scott's military career as he forms a real bond with the members of his unit and is sent on various drug cartel and counter-terrorist missions across the globe. During these missions, however, Scott and his team frequently discover the gruesome remains of the men that they're pursuing. Someone is doing their job for them. As they investigate the gruesome aftermath of the unexplained events, they glean that there are always common details within these battle scenes. These include indiscriminate bullet holes from gunfire, flayed or decapitated victims with their spines removed, and strange glowing green liquid. During the decades, Scott and his team decipher that the killer's calling card is always similar, but feel that whoever or whatever is committing the killings is not from this world. As Scott and his team climb the ranks within the military, Scott becomes intrigued by these events, trying to learn more about these strange killings, the green liquid, and the government agents gathering up unusual weapons. Predator Stalking Shadows focuses on multiple predator hunts on Earth, giving us glimpses of individual Yautja who have turned these areas into their hunting grounds. Now that word glimpses is important. If you're expecting a book that goes into detail on the Yautja themselves, you're going to be highly disappointed. Although some very unique and original creatures are introduced, we never get to witness the events from their perspectives, and instead, everything is told from the point of view of the soldiers fighting against them. On numerous occasions, we do not even get to witness the battles, but instead see the gruesome aftermath which Scott and his team try to investigate and piece together. Now, there are advantages and disadvantages to this type of storytelling. As a reader, we're put into a more powerful position than the protagonists, as we know that this is the work of a predator. However, it is really satisfying for us to read just how these military characters make connections and come to their conclusions. Therefore, it makes you feel like you're part of the Special Ops team trying to uncover the truth with them. However, I really did miss the alternating POVs, where you get one chapter or paragraph from the Predator's perspective before switching back to the humans. This is something S.D. Perry, my favourite Predator author, has mastered, and it really allows you to get inside of the head of the Yautja as it hunts. However, the fact that we did not get this is not a huge criticism, and I think it was deliberately done to allow the reader to associate with Scott as opposed to the eponymous character. Speaking of the main protagonist, Scott is fantastically characterised, and you really get to know the character as we follow his story across the decades. We truly feel Scott's pain as he remembers his mother who died when he was a child. However, her immense influence on him shapes Scott and even influences the way he approaches events in the story. Due to this, Scott has many facets to his personality, whilst avoiding stereotypes such as the loner tough guy or badass team leader we have seen on so many occasions. Instead, Scott is strong yet vulnerable, distant yet close to those who mean the most to him. He's intelligent, inquisitive, and cares about his team. In addition to Scott, Moore and Morris develop some very believable and 3D characters that are extremely likeable. The camaraderie and banter between Scott's team is very realistic and helps the reader feel that they are reading about real people. I particularly like the humorous character of Flynn, but Marcus and Lau also had their qualities. As a result, we feel each and every single one of their deaths and sympathise for Scott's loss. For instance, there is an incredibly poignant chapter at a funeral where Scott speaks to the son of the deceased soldier. In all honesty, I've not cared about the deaths of Predator victims since the loss of Dutch and Harrigan's teams in the original movies, so it was refreshing to have these feelings of emotions for fictional characters back. Whilst we're on the subject of characters, we get cameos from Predator 2's Garber, Sean Keyes from The Predator, and even the Stargazer project is mentioned from Moore's previous book. However, the most significant appearance in this novel is that of Major Alan Dutch Schaefer, whose story is expanded. I feel that the mystery regarding Dutch Schaefer's disappearance is well explained and feels believable in regards to what we already know about the character. Now, as an expert predator hunter, Dutch is locating hunting grounds where he and his team destroy Yautja while salvaging their technology in order to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands. These encounters are often recounted by Dutch as he speaks of his experiences to Scott, which gives the stories a grisly, realistic feel. However, if you're expecting a book that follows Dutch around as he encounters predators, then please think again. This is Scott's story, and Dutch dips in and out of it, helping drive the narrative forward whilst giving us glimpses into his encounters with various Yautja. Personally, I liked the fact that the book did not focus on Dutch, as it continued to shroud his character in an element of mystery. A few interesting revelations of Dutch, however, did include a time when he was almost killed by a female Yautja. After almost succumbing to his injuries, it was revealed that he was kept alive and even enhanced by being administered predator medicine or even blood. This ties in with some of the comics and video games that have suggested that predator blood can enhance and even prolong human life. Further to that, Dutch utilises and adapts some of their technology, like the wrist cannon, which was surely a nod to my favourite Predator game AVP Arcade. In regards to the structure of the book, I loved how the authors gave each chapter a date, allowing the reader to have very military-esque timelines. As a result, we could see how these events related to the Predator continuity in general, as we knew where each event would fit in. The way each chapter ended on a cliffhanger also made you want to turn the pages and keep reading, as essential information was cryptically revealed. The authors gave this book a very investigatory feel, as opposed to the all-out action novel. As a result, there were some fantastically written moments of tension and suspense that drew on the reader's superior prior knowledge in comparison to the characters' ignorance as they entered dangerous scenarios with Yautjas. One such moment is when the character of Lau spots something red in the trees, and we wonder if it is the glare from the Predator's targeting laser. However, although I enjoyed these moments of tension and suspense, there were too few and far between, and more should have been made of this. With all that aside, I really enjoyed Stalking Grounds and saw it as an improvement to each author's previous works on other Predator novels. The book takes a brave and unique approach to telling a Yautja novel, moving away from the creatures and the thrill of the hunt, and instead focusing on the real people trying to deal with unusual situations. For me, this story is excellently written, and although not to the level of some of the books written by S.D. Perry, it is still worth 4 stars. So, do I have anything to rant about regarding this book? Well, actually, yes, although these are very minor gripes. Firstly, I feel that the producers of Predator content must understand that the fans care more about the creature than they do about its human opponents. When they consume media texts, they want to see it from the perspective of the Predator and learn more about these otherworldly creatures. When we go to the cinema to watch Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees, we want to see the killer, not the victims or characters fighting against them, and it is the same with Predator. Personally, I did not have a real issue with this in the book, however I do feel that many fans will. Another aspect of this book that was slightly disappointing was the way in which the predators were killed, which was incredibly anticlimactic at times. However, some of my more major issues with the book are as follows. Number 1. It features yet another variation of those god-awful hunting dogs. Guys, if you watch this channel regularly, you will know that I hate any type of the Yautja dogs. I thought the dogs in Predators looked terrible, and the ones in the Predator made a mockery of the entire franchise. This book has a different version of the hunting dogs, however the result is the same. It does not suit the story and goes against the grain of the Predator as a stealthy hunter. Why would a silent assassin, which patiently spends its time in trees scouting its prey, use lumbering dogs that noisily charge into battle? A predator wants to test itself against the most lethal prey. So why would it want another creature to do its work for it? It makes no sense to me, but I guess this might be down to my own prejudice. Guys, if you like the Yautja dogs, then that's absolutely fine with me, as these things are always down to taste, and I respect your opinion, but personally, I cannot stand them. My second issue with the book is that with all these units and factions tracking predators and gathering their technology, the book did have a whiff of the predator at times. For me, the moment more government agencies and military groups become aware of predators, they've lost their mystique and their elusive aura. I just feel like encounters with these creatures should be like lightning, almost impossible for it to strike the same person twice. Although I do not know too much about the video game it is setting up, I can certainly recommend this book to any Predator fan. I think it can be read to help you further understand the backstory surrounding the game, or as a standalone book. However, my recommendation does come with a few provisos. Number 1, do not expect a story about Dutch. 2, do not expect a story that is from the perspective of the predators. And 3, do not expect a story that focuses on the battles within the hunting grounds themselves. If you can keep an open mind and accept this story's unique approach, you may thoroughly enjoy it as a piece of literary fiction. Okay guys, if you enjoyed this review, then please be sure to like and subscribe if you'd like to subscribe. More importantly, however, I hope I've inspired you to read the book, which is available in digital, audio and more traditional formats. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again in more Predator-related content coming soon.